right, back. Shout outs to you for making it back. Me, all of us. If you don't know, it is your boy Kexis. And today we have Diablo 4. This is insane. I can't believe the devs did this to the game. Ooh, what a title. Ooh, it make you want to watch. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie. I gotta like the video off rip. I gotta like the video off rip. Hey, man. Anyways, let's see what the insane thing is.
All right, so here we go. Oh boy. So, yes, Diablo 4 will never be the same again after today. I promise you
Damn.
that. So,
What
check
a
it out. We have
statement.
unofficial Diablo 4 patch notes, and this is significant. This is major changes to your favorite class. We're talking nerfs, buffs.
Hmm. I saw a flash on there. I'm thinking. Here's my predictions. Buff Druid, buff Barb, probably unironically buff Sork, nerf Rogue all across the board. I know I played a Rogue build. It didn't feel that good. So I don't know if all the power is just in the elemental stuff, but they might change some stuff, some other stuff. I feel like Rogue was kind of in some regards. So I feel like it really depended on the combo. Maybe I was just doing the wrong thing. Obviously, I was doing the wrong thing because I saw Rogue had crazy damage. But I'm saying they're probably buffing things that like wasn't the obvious choice and gonna lower some other more obvious choices so all of them feel balanced. And it's crooked. And I didn't play Necromancer, so I don't have an opinion. So probably nerfs to the obvious stuff and buff the less obvious stuff, like probably the melee version.
Mostly nerfs. So
Oh.
I warn you, you might want to grab a tissue because you'll probably be crying by the end of this video if you had major plans.
What did I say? 3 buffs, 1 neutral, and 1 nerf? Damn, he said mostly nerfs.
Or your favorite build. Just scratch that. We're going into uncharted territory here, which
Golly.
to me is kind of exciting.
I guess I don't know. Maybe I should look over them separately and then save my opinions for that.
So we'll see what type of new builds we can actually craft during the server slam. That's what this is going to be all about. But yeah, I'm going to go over every change, at least the most important changes here to all of the classes. So I'm going to include a video guide in that description below. So if you want to know about the Barbarian or the Druid, you can skip ahead to the section that you actually seek. But yeah, let's dive into
all
this.
of it.
First and foremost,
I need all of it.
Starting out with, yes, the Barbarian. And by the way, this all comes from Wowhead. If you want to check out the article for yourself, check it out. It's very long-winded, so I did want to break it down for you all. But yes, first and foremost, a flat 10% passive damage reduction has been added to the Barbarian. Some skill tree passives had their damage reduction effects reduced.
I don't like that it's just like a passive. Why not just change their base stat? It's like now you just have a passive that's Barbarian. By the way, because you're Barbarian, you take less damage. I feel like that was kind of lazy. That was a very like lazy change, in my honest opinion.
To compensate.
Because 10%
so
is a
overall,
lot.
right there, an interesting buff. So again, this is why I want to actually play as the Barbarian going forward. Now, let's get into some of the actual skill changes. Most notable is that the shouts have all been nerfed across the board. And this is telling me that they want you to kind of experiment more with the offensive type abilities. So instead of like having tons of shouts in your arsenal, you're going to be messing around with more,
like the taunt and stuff,
different abilities like bash, perhaps. We'll see. Upheaval, that sort of thing. And really just have a wide variety of builds on offer for the Barbarian. We'll find out if that's actually the case. Hold up now. We got to talk about the nerfs. And let me tell you what, they really nerfed the shouts big time. Check it out right here. We're going to start out with this one. It says this: rallying cry. Bellow a rallying cry, increasing your movement speed by 30% and resource generation by 40%, as opposed to 50% previously, for 6 seconds, and nearby allies for 3 seconds. So you can see there.
I would say, in my opinion, the fact that it was 50%, it was just overtuned. It's not really like a crazy nerf, in my opinion. It was just too much to begin with.
Previously for 6 seconds and nearby allies for 3 seconds. So you can see there, that's definitely a nerf, but it gets so much worse. So check it out right here. It says Tactical Rallying Cry. Rallying Cry generates 20 Fury as opposed to 25 and grants you an additional 20% resource generation as opposed to previously
30%.
That is an absolutely massive nerf right there for resource generation. I'm kind of curious to see how that's going to pan out. If you're going to be more dependent on actual gear for resource generation, we'll see how this all works out. Now, Warcry says bellow a mighty Warcry, increasing your damage dealt by 15% for 6 seconds as opposed to 8 seconds previously, and nearby allies for 3 seconds as opposed to the previous 4 seconds. So overall, a nerf for Warcry. But what about Power Warcry? Let's talk about it, shall we? So it says, if at least 6 enemies are nearby when you cast Warcry, your damage bonus is increased by an additional 10% as opposed to what they had previously, which was 30%.
Again, I mean, honestly, the number was just overtuned in the first place. Think about this. If at least 6 enemies are nearby when you cast Warcry, which is literally always, so literally when you cast it, you just get 30% free damage. It kind of is a no-brainer. I think they probably just brought it down because they don't want to change it because it's probably too late to change. This is just a no-brainer to get because of how consistent it is. Because you basically you can just. The point is, it was a little too high, in my opinion, in the first place. Not saying they needed to nerf, but the value is pretty high for something that consistent. Like, again, there's never at no time 6 enemies not around you unless you're just fighting a boss.
10% as opposed to what they had previously, which was 30%.
Basically, you just get 30%
so
just for using the skill automatically.
Pretty significant. Now, Mighty Warcry says Warcry grants you 15% base life as Fortify as opposed to the 28% previously. Rough right there. Now, let's get into some of the actual skills that you utilize for offensive.
That's just, I mean, so far it's just utility. The 20% on that is huge, but see
abilities like, say, upheaval.
I had a friend that did say he saw people doing the in-game stuff with a barb, and they were basically just like treating it like a normal dungeon. They were not struggling. So that's why I'm saying, like, I believe these numbers were probably a little bit too high to begin with.
Well, what has happened with that one? Is that still reliable? Is that still something we can go to for a build? Now, your lucky hit chance from 20% to 25%. So guess what? That's kind of a buff. Now, let me tell you what's very interesting across all the builds that I have seen, all the classes, is that lucky hit is one of the things that is seeing a buff. It seems like they really want you to go after that stat going forward, either through collecting gear or even in your actual build. They really want lucky chance to matter more and more, it seems. Next up, we have this one right here, and this relates to upheaval. So brace yourself. It says dealing direct damage to an enemy with a skill that is not upheaval causes your next cast of upheaval to deal, instead of 8% damage, it's going to be 3% increase.
I have this. I use this. This was like a no-brainer to have too. I was like, wait, what? That's like 80%.
Increased damage.
Now it's 30%.
Stacking.
50% change. See.
Up to 10
we'll see.
times.
It depends.
That is absolutely a huge nerf right there.
Yeah, that's a 50% change.
Some of you might be like, why? Why would they do this?
We got to see what the other classes
again,
look
they
like.
may want upheaval to be more impactful by a weapon that you find out in the field. I don't know. We'll have to wait and find out. But trust me, they didn't stop there. Let's talk about a Thorn build for your Barbarian.
Thorn Bear was crazy too.
It's not going to be as viable as it was before, so check it out.
But you can...
Strategic Challenging Shout. While Challenging Shout is active, gain Thorns equal to 30% of your maximum life.
Again, dude, 50% of your maximum life is a lot. That value is clearly just overtuned. That's just literally what it is.
Opposed to 50% previously. Pretty
just
significant change
very
right
high
there.
amount.
We're going to count that in the nerf category. Now, Tough as Nails. Increase your thorns by, instead of 20.
This again, ridiculously just a high value.
20 to 40 to 60%. It's now 3, 6%,
Damn,
and
369.
9%. An absolutely huge, massive nerf, tough as nails. Now, when enemies hit you, they take an additional 10% of your thorns as bleeding damage over 5 seconds. And previously, it was 1%. But when it comes to those initial increases, that is a pretty big nerf right there to the thorn build. And a lot of people were pretty much disappointed about that. We're going to talk about what the community has to say later on in the video, so stay tuned. So what about the druid? The druid saw some really exciting changes as well. We got to get into this right now, so check it out right here. First of all, starting out with the companions, which overall companions have seen a buff. So a companion-based build seems to be more viable. So it says for wolves, passive. Summon 2 wolf companions that bite enemies for 7% damage. No change there. Now for active, direct your wolves to focus on an enemy, leaping to them and striking for 110% damage.
This is good. I just want to note that when you use the active, you can basically disjoint it, the move, and it will miss. So I feel like that should be addressed. I don't know how. I think like if you're moving and the enemies, and if you're moving and the mob is chasing you, and you use it, it will basically go to where the mob was on activation, causing it to just sometimes disjoint.
As opposed to the 35% previously. That is an absolutely massive buff right there for our druid, which I'm sure will excite many of you druid fans out there.
Yes,
now,
sir.
we got to talk
Yes,
about
sir.
debilitating roar, because we've seen some significant changes with this one. So it says shapeshift into a werebear and bellow a mighty roar, reducing enemies' damage dealt by 70% as opposed to 50% previously for 4 seconds. This is going to be huge for crowd control, and especially I think the druid is going to become extremely useful for going into dungeons with a friend. So I think that's going to be awesome. Now, what about landslide? We've seen some changes there. Check it out. It says crush enemies between 2 pillars of earth, dealing up to 75% damage as opposed to the previous 112% damage right there. So I think a lot of you might actually frown on that change. Let me know if that is actually the case. And tornado also got to see.
I don't really have an opinion about the earthbender stuff. It felt so slow and sluggish. But after playing a transformation druid in last epoch, I'm definitely probably going to do the earthbending, like elemental type of build this time around.
A nerf. It says lucky hit chance is not 33% anymore. It's 8%. That is a significant nerf right there.
They probably buffed tornado
yeah,
somewhere.
as you can see, it's interesting. With the barbarian, lucky chance for barbarian has actually seen a buff overall, and then it seems like on the druid, we're seeing mostly nerfs regarding anything lucky chance. I'm feeling like they're trying to create some sort of different play style between the classes and how you actually seek out weapons in the world as well. So that's my thinking behind this. I'm trying to think like a dev here. And then next up, we have this one right here, Lightning Storm. Conjure a growing lightning storm that deals 32% damage.
I like this skill. I thought this skill was pretty nice. Honestly, that's how I really thought lightning was probably one of the safer things, because it was the only consistent damage druid had, because everything else kind of felt
damage as opposed to 25% per strike. And it says the number of strikes increase the longer the storm is channeled, up to a maximum of 5 at once. The key words here being at once. So this one might be very powerful during the server slam. I cannot wait to see what happens there. But what about innate debilitating roar? It says debilitating roar also slows enemies by 65% as opposed to 40% for its duration. So that's going to also be significant for that crowd control
there it is
as well. So yeah, I know a lot of you love the sorcerer, and overall it's seen a pretty big nerf. However, there are some cool buffs in here, so check it out. It says Spark, Enhanced Spark. Each time Spark hits its primary target, it has a 40% chance to hit up to 3 additional enemies as opposed to the 20% chance previously, dealing 5% damage. So that's actually a significant buff right there. Also, Frostbolt did see some sort of buff regarding lucky hit chance from 30% to 40%. So some interesting things, again, once again, going on with lucky hit chance overall. However,
The one thing I don't like about a skill, particularly having a lucky hit chance enhance, is say you do want to go a lucky hit chance build, the most viable skill is probably a skill you don't want to use. And I just feel like having a skill have that kind of flat bonus is kind of lazy. Just honestly, like I feel like a flat, just random flat increase under no circumstances or preconditions is just lazy.
Ice Shards saw a nerf with lucky hit chance 16%.
It's lazy, bro.
5%.
It's just lazy to me.
So some weird things going on there. Now, enhanced Ice Shards.
One thing I will say about Last Epoch, I like that a lot of the skills revolve around engulfing the current stacks on, not engulfing, consuming the current stacks of like a certain element or debuff, and they will use the consumption of how many and calculate it into damage. Like I think that kind of gameplay is more fun in ARPGs instead of just having flat this or flat that as like a enhancement to a skill. It feels so lazy. It just feels lazy, even if you want the skill to maybe do something like that or detonate via weapon or weapon set. There's so there's just so many other ways to go about enhancing certain skills that's not just flat this, flat that. It's like it's like legit. It feels like there's no thought put behind it because it's like anything else. Why not? If you do this and then you get the flat enhancement, or based off how many you, whatever the whatever the condition is, based off how well the condition sets itself up for, then you can get increased lucky strike chance against that. Like, what if instead of just 15%, why not give lightning debuff? And after enough debuffs, you get lucky hit chance relative to how many debuffs are on the mob you're hitting. I feel like that would just be so much better and more like fun. Like because you would feel the power ramping up with how much like you get what I'm saying. Like it just makes sense to me instead of just like a flat
Ice Shards
bonus.
have 40% chance
Whatever,
to
bro.
ricochet to another enemy as opposed to 15%. Ice Shards always ricochet off a frozen enemy. So our Ice Shards, excuse me, should be actually kind of useful. Now, Ice Blades, what about Ice Blades? So the cooldown has actually been increased to 16 seconds as opposed to 12, and conjure a pair of Ice Blades for 6 seconds that rapidly slash enemies for 22% damage as opposed to 30%, and have 30% chance to make them vulnerable for 2 seconds. So overall, an unfortunate nerf. Now, Summoned Ice Blade says 20% of enhanced Ice Blades cooldown reduction is applied to your other skills.
Damn, it was 50% before?
That's huge.
Whoa.
That's a big nerf right there. Now, what about Hydra? I know a lot of you guys loved Hydra. Check it out. It says lucky hit chance is now 53% as opposed to 76% chance. Now, summon a 3-headed Hydra for 10 seconds as opposed to 12. So they shaved off 2 seconds there. Each head splits fire at enemies, dealing 12% damage instead of 30%. Whoa, that is, again, a huge, massive nerf. But Firewall also saw a nerf with lucky hit chance to 30% instead of 40%. And then Lightning Spear saw pretty much the same thing from 26.
This is why I didn't play the Sorg. I was like, dude, half of these are just boring. I just kept seeing lucky hit chance, lucky hit chance. I'm like, dude, I don't want this. It's not fun looking.
As opposed to the 35% previously for lucky
just
hit
me though.
Chance. Once again, some major nerfs towards that lucky hit chance. So they've definitely nerfed the Sorcerer overall, making them less I guess you would say godlike. So I'm kind of curious to see what you guys have to say about this one, and if you guys are going to be crying.
They'll still be gone. Like, don't worry.
Server slam. We'll have to wait and
They'll
see
still be strong. You don't
your
have to worry about
reaction.
that.
And yes, we cannot forget about the Rogue, of course. There's some very interesting things going on with the Rogue. A kind of a mix of balance changes
Ooh,
here.
Rogue with
More on
crossbow
the
look kind of
defensive side
sick.
stuff, and
He kind of looked like he belongs in. Did you see that sequence? It's like a little Attack on Titan
not forget about
type vibe. He's all cloaked up in green.
the Rogue, of course. There's some very interesting things going on with the Rogue.
Those-
Kind of a
oh.
mix of balance changes here.
That
More on the
green cloak
defensive
is
side of stuff,
hard.
and of course, poison imbuement.
Looks so
let's get into
good.
it right now. So first and foremost, we have
This is
Twisting
cool.
Blade. Advanced Twisting Blades. It says when your Twisting Blades return, your active cooldowns are reduced by 0.25 second per enemy they pass through, up to 3 seconds. So this is definitely going to be considered an unfortunate nerf, right?
That just means it has to pass through more enemies. That means it only had to pass through 2 enemies before. Now it has to basically pass through 4, 8, 12 enemies. You basically lose like maybe it's probably like what you'll probably hit like 2 to 4 enemies every other time, 2, 4, 6. So yeah, you lose like a second and a half, kinda.
2, 3 seconds. So this is definitely going to be considered an
Yeah, I guess a
unfortunate
second
nerf
is
right there.
can add up.
However,
'cause,
with
you know,
Poison Trap, it goes on to say this, countering
Yeah.
Poison Trap. Poison Trap has a 30% chance to reset
crazy
your
nerf, actually.
imbuement skill cooldowns when activated, as opposed to 20% previously. So this is a buff. And we're going to talk about imbuement skills here a little bit more, because it seems like Rogue is leaning into that a bit
Yeah, I thought the problem with Rogue was the imbuement skills were just overtuned. So that's interesting.
more. So
But they
let's get
nerfed
into
other
poison
stuff.
imbuement. So it says this: the cooldown has actually been increased to 13 seconds as opposed to 9 seconds. That's unfortunate. Imbue your weapons with lethal poison. Your next 2 imbuable skills deal poison damage and apply 100% of their base damage, as opposed to 70% previously, as additional poisoning damage over 5.
That's not bad. That's more like a
much more valuable of an
More
ability
bursty.
this go around.
Yeah.
Now get this, there's more. If we go to blended poison imbuement, critical strikes
Damn,
with
they really want poison.
imbued skills deal 75% increased poisoning damage, as opposed to 30%.
overtuned.
That is a massive buff right there. So we're going to see some very cool, I think, poison rogue builds here in the future, especially from the server slam. Now, on the side of defensive stuff, a lot of buffs going on here. Check it out. It says, for agile,
Oh, they're
using
trying to
a
butcher
cooldown
together.
increases
Oh.
your dodge chance not by 9% total, but by 12% for 3 seconds instead of 2. So that's an interesting buff right there. And I love that, the rogue is seeing more defensive stuff. Furthermore, it says reactive defense gain 18% damage reduction, as opposed to 13.5% total. while
Ooh, I kind of like
inflicted
that.
with control impairing effect.
Like,
So
that's probably that's a good PvP one, because when someone CCs you, you would just take less damage. Flat, so they can't like one shot you.
it seems like they want you to get out there and take more risks to get more
That's
rewards.
I like that. That's a good
with
change,
the
actually.
rogue. So I think that's going to ask for more aggressive playstyle from you rogue players. Although I feel like the rogue is already aggressive, but it seems like they want to go all in with that approach and then get poison in the mixture. So I love my time with the Necromancer in the open beta. Let's see what has changed for the Necro going forward. And a lot has changed. So it says this right here. Bone Splinters generate essence is now 6 over 5. That's actually a buff. Now fire 3 Bone Splinters, dealing 8% damage each, as opposed to 22%. That is a significant nerf, big time. And then, yeah, nothing else has changed with the Bone Splinters right there. Kind of bummed about that one. However,
Damn, that is a
we got to
lot.
talk about Bone Spear.
22%
so,
to
Enhanced
8.
Bone Spear says this. Bone Spear breaks into 3
Oh, never
shards.
mind. They
And
got
it
you.
is destroyed, dealing 25% damage each, as opposed to 10% previously. A significant buff right there. So yeah, seems like a bone-based build is still very much viable going forward. So that's cool to know. Now, what about Corpse Explosion? I know that was a go-to for a lot of you guys, so check it out right here. Detonate a corpse, dealing 50% damage to surrounding enemies as opposed to 75%. Man, I'm going to miss that so much. It feels like it's going to be a pretty big nerf right there, and I'm bummed about that one. Let me tell you what. Now,
You'll still be
Blood
broken.
Mist.
Don't
All right,
worry.
let's talk about it because the cooldown has changed. Instead of being
Damn.
20 seconds, it's
24.
now 24 seconds. So you're going to have to wait a little bit longer there, of course. And the Golem, by the way, has seen some changes. So, you know, a lot of you are like, don't touch my Golem. So it says passive. You are protected by a Golem with X life that attacks for 17% damage instead of the 35% did previously. The Golem sheds corpses as it takes damage still, so they haven't changed that mechanic. But yeah, a nerf overall.
That's kind of
for
cool.
The Golem. However, Golem mastery
corpses.
does change up some things.
That's kind of cool.
Hold up. It says increase the damage and life of your Golem by, instead of a total of 45%, you can go clear up
75.
to 75% now. So the Golem is more tanky, but it seems like its offensive abilities have been somewhat limited going forward. Now, the mages for the skellies have also changed, so check it out. Increase the damage and life of your skeletal mages by 60% in total, as opposed to 45% in total right there. So the mages are going to be more reliable and dependent upon going forward within your skelly army. So yeah, I definitely wanted to highlight some of the comments around the community discussing what is going on with the changes with the classes. So let's get into those right now. We have this one from Squirrel with a Nut. It says Barbarian has 4 nodes in their skill tree that affect thorns, and they nerfed 3 of them into the ground. LOL, unbelievable. Well, there goes my...
This dude is overreacting so hard. Dude, shut up. There goes your build. What? Your build is literally going to function literally the same. I'll say it is literally going to function the same. How? I can't. Disgusting. Disgusting.
Into the ground. LOL.
Disgusting.
Unbelievable.
Disgusting.
Well, there goes my...
Disgusting,
build.
weak
Seems
mental,
like
bro.
A lot of you had plans for that thorn build. However, we have this.
Can you believe? Can you believe someone is upset about nerfs to a game that has not even come out yet? There goes my build, bro. You got to level 20. 20? Was it 20? 25? You played 1/5 of the game. What do you mean there goes your build? Okay, I'm done.
I'm also sad, but kinda understand. PvP Thorn Barbarian was disgustingly, powerful. There's a unique based on Thorn that made you untouchable when paired with this Barbarian's kit. So that's a good theory right there as to why they actually went in and kind of nerfed a Thorn build because of PvP. However, that stirred up some discussion.
Nah, there goes that guy's build.
Let's get into this. So
his build is ripped, bro.
This is exactly why it was nerfed. All these changes scream in-game beta, not our recent beta. So it seems like these changes that we're seeing right here could be based on the feedback from the in-game beta. That makes a lot of sense to me. And then we have this one. So it seems like we're getting a number shrink. It's a good thing. We were too powerful on level 25 already with the right gear. It kind of hurts, but it'll probably be very beneficial to the pacing of the game. Yes, so
exactly,
I think it's gonna slow down the pacing of the game and make the rewards more rewarding as they should be, especially when it comes to obtaining that rare, unique that you finally obtained and you scream when you actually see it drop. You know what I mean? So I think that's what they're going to go after when it comes to the in-game. Now, we have this one right here from Crawler, my friend, who says, nothing as annoying as seeing someone justify a nerf with PvP. I hope this isn't going to be another one of those games where crap is always getting ruined over PvP.
Name a single game where something was ruined because of PvP. I didn't play WoW, but just probably talking about WoW. I feel like no other games really care.
You know, I don't think that's going to be the case.
I just don't see that being a reality
I hope not.
many games
gone on
ever.
record saying they expect PvP to be not the most balanced experience. So it seems like it's not their priority. That PvP is clearly not their priority. And let me know if that upsets you or not. Honestly, for me, the dungeon crawling and the in-game with friends, with co-op, for
Yeah,
me,
it's
that's
an
my priority
ARPG.
going
It's
into
not
this. PvP does sound like a lot of fun, but I know it's probably gonna
like,
be
why do people
tough
care
as
about
nails.
nerfs, dude? Like,
Uh, a
I don't
month,
get it.
2 months down
I
the
don't
road when
understand.
playing this game, which I'm kind of
It's
excited
like you
for
don't want
as
the game to
well.
be a little
All right, so we
challenging.
have this one right here. It says,
Why
"Can
do you
you
play?
correct me if I'm reading this wrong? But looking at the numbers, did Hydra Sorcerer get like 65% DPS nerf? Damn, that's harsh. Rest in peace, Dad before arrival." So there's some disappointment with what happened with the
I don't
Sorcerer.
understand how they got that number.
For sure. Then it says, "Played an ice build CD set up in the beta, and I fully expected it to get nerfed. The cooldown reduction was insane. You could almost spam ultimates when it got rolling. And Blizzard recognized, whoa, this is too godlike. Let's tone this back down. Let's have it as intended." As always, I have you guys covered for upcoming news and any big announcements related to this game, so stay tuned for more. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all
It's a
next time.
beta.
Take care.
We don't have builds. We don't know much. We still don't know anything. It's a beta, bro. Get real. That one guy, that comment was ridiculous, but it was kind of funny. Anyways, that's the video. Fun stuff. I don't see why anyone would be upset about a nerf. You play ARPGs to be challenged, in my opinion, somewhat. But if you want to breeze through content, I'm sure there will be builds for that, and you just go towards that build. Am I right? Anyways, thanks for watching. See you guys in the next video. Tell someone you appreciate them, because I appreciate you guys watching. Tell someone you love them. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.